All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have hijacked the Slack Doctor studio here in the bunker in Boca. I am Dr. Alex Anonymous Jones.
And I am Dr. Douglas.
Dr. Murray, did you say?
Dr. Douglas, I believe we'll just keep it at Douglas. We'll go with
Dr.
first
Douglas.
names.
All right. Dr. Douglas, very good. Well, we've kidnapped the Slack Doctors. We've got them secured in a secure location, tightly bound. But first thing I want to talk about today is, listen, I've got information from very high up sources, very high up. I mean top level, right next to President Trump level sources that told me he's got a serious health problem. And, I don't know if you noticed, but he's been going to the doctor lately quite a bit. But I have from the very, very most secure sources that his health issue has something to do with a severe case of jock itch. I believe his balls itch very badly. And this has really been causing a lot of problems for the president. And I don't know if you know anything about this governmentally, but constitutionally wise, the responsibility for scratching President Trump's balls usually fall on Mike Johnson. But we have a patriotic Lindsey Graham has stood up and volunteered to scratch the president's balls. Do you have anything to say about that?
Alex, I hate to interrupt you on this point, but I would like to raise one point, which is that have you actually seen the rash on these balls? Have you been to the lavatory with the president and seen his actual testicles? Or, like many other people who do podcasts, are you not an expert and simply speaking on things that you know nothing about?
But Dr. Douglas, if we don't listen to the experts, I thought that's what you campaigned on the whole Joe Rogan episode. The experts have told me, and I'm talking top level, top clearance, top level, sources here. I'm not, I don't, listen. They want me to pay $1 billion. I don't. Where the hell am I going to get $1 billion? Come on, now. Let's be realistic. Come on. Where am I going to get $1 billion?
Opening an account perhaps in another dimension, because the interdimensional demons, of which I've heard you speak on multiple occasions, seem to have massive amounts of resources behind them.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but unfortunately, one of the resources is not money. They can deliver me lots of souls that they've stolen, that they have locked away. But unfortunately, I can't. The Bitcoin ratio for souls is just not. It's not a lucrative market. Is the problem really? And
if only there was a way to harness those souls and turn them into some sort of electricity to fund all of these AI farms that are cropping up everywhere.
All right, I can't do anymore.
I can't breathe anymore. I'm getting claustrophobic.
Oh, my Lord. I can only wear that thing for so long.
It's actually Dr. Chip and Dr. Bob. Good to see you, Dr. Chip.
We're not chained up anywhere. God, that was about as long as I could go with that mask on, though.
I just to let the audience know, I did attempt to purchase an actual mask, but of course, it came from somewhere deep in the provinces of China, and when it arrived, it smelled like chemical death.
So what, did you send it back?
Pardon?
Did you send it back?
I'm going to, yeah.
Well, can we see it?
Yeah, hang on one second.
Yeah, go get it so at least we can see it. You don't have to put it on or anything, but... Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Smells like on the inside.
I can't imagine. I know how even when they've been around for a while, they stink so bad. But I'm surprised you didn't get one of I should have thought of it. You should really just got a Batman, that just goes over
a cowl.
Yeah. Or even a
one of the problems,
cowl.
of course, was that I waited until the last minute, and
right.
Most of the really cool looking masks would not have arrived until after Halloween, which. And actually, considering this isn't going to, even though it's taped on Halloween, it won't air on Halloween, probably wouldn't have made much of a difference.
Yeah, I was going to say, in case people are wondering, we are taping this on Halloween. You're not going to see it on Halloween, but it is Halloween today. So, that was kind of fun. So did you have any actual real news nuggets at all?
Not of the comic variety, but I did receive a text today from somebody that we're hoping to have as a potential guest on. And I'd like to give a shout out to Rodney Mayo. Rodney Mayo is apparently stepping up and addressing the SNAP benefit, or rather lack of a SNAP benefit, potential that may occur within the next 2 days.
I saw
and
something
he's
about that.
going to be distributing food, much like he did during some hurricanes.
Yep.
From what I read, and I will link in the description an article down. Of course, by the time this airs, it will be widespread and known. But he's going to put up a website tomorrow explaining how it's done. And I believe at all of his different locations, including restaurants, as well as all the subculture locations, anybody who can, I don't know what the details are, how to prove that you're in the SNAP or EBT program. But from what I read, he'd be giving out one meal a day to people that are in that program.
I would say he might even be lax on, if you look like you're hungry, you could probably get something to eat. But I think he also did that during COVID.
They did, and during COVID, I believe it was for like restaurant workers and essential
all the
workers,
people that put
that
out
were
of
in the
business.
biz.
Yeah.
And again, the criteria needed to prove that you were in the biz, I believe, were pretty lax.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Rodney's a good guy, and he's got his little animal shelter thing going. I always said that
He also donated and raised a tremendous amount of money for Haitian earthquake relief a couple of years ago.
Oh,
I
speaking
don't know
of
how
which,
that's going.
holy crap! Have you seen the pictures from Jamaica?
No.
Oh,
no,
my
I haven't.
Lord,
I'm
dude.
assuming it was just devastated.
Oh my Lord! I'm sure they're only showing you certain areas that are hit like the hardest, but the places that are hit hardest are like, dude, it's bad. It's really bad. And I mean, if the whole island is like what they're showing, it might be another Haiti. I mean, it might just ruin it for everything because they're showing because I guess Jamaica's semi-mountainous or whatever.
Yes, but isn't Jamaica still part of the Commonwealth, the UK?
It is, and they're sending all kinds of food and money and stuff like that. But still, I think
my point is that their infrastructure and their ability to recover should be immensely better than that of Haiti, which is
true.
really essentially on its own.
That's if they get the support. But I got a feeling the whole place may have to be rebuilt. I mean, like the whole thing, because I don't think their infrastructure was, first of all, that up to date, and second of all, Jamaica hadn't been hit with a storm like that for I don't even know when. I mean, they've been dodging hurricanes for as long as I can remember. So I mean, they just weren't ready for that, man. The whole place is just built like with shanties and shoddy constructed. I mean, even the places that were still standing, I didn't see one that had a roof on it still, or at least not a hole in the roof or piece of the roof missing, or it looked bad. And like I say, they may be showing just the worst hit areas, but man, it looked really bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're in one of those areas, it doesn't matter what the rest of the island is, that your home has been destroyed. I mean, I think back to the footage of like Asheville, North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. And yeah, it was a small area, but just the amount of destruction that occurred there was unprecedented.
Well, this is definitely bigger than
wiped away instantly.
Well, this definitely was more area than that for sure, because I mean they're showing footage out of a helicopter, and the helicopter's flying for quite some time, covering ground. Like, all right, they just gone like 5 miles, and it's complete utter destruction. Just like, and I guess a lot of the places were just basically hit by walls of mud coming down, being washed down out of the mountains. It's like I guess some port towns are like dealing with like a foot of mud in everybody's house. What do you do about that? Everybody's house is done. You can't, you can shovel the mud out and hope the foundation still is okay. But then you got to, what kind of foundation do they really have there? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good. It's bad. It's really bad.
I mean, it's always been such a mecca spot for tourism that you would think that the effort to rebuild, that the money would be there.
Well, I mean, truthfully, the only places that look like they sustained and with the least amount of damages were the like really overbuilt, like resorts with the big hotels and, this stuff made out of concrete.
They were probably built, with hurricanes in mind and to a higher
exactly,
standard.
Exactly. Because corporate requirements, because I don't think
the only
there's
way
any.
they could get insurance. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anything else, man, it looked like it looked rough. I mean, I didn't see a shot where there wasn't like, none of the buildings looked habitable. None of them. I mean, the houses, none of the buildings, nothing. It's like, where are these people what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? What are they going to, it's almost like you're going to have to almost evacuate that whole freaking island till you rebuild it back. I don't know where all those people are going to live. It's so bad. It looks so bad. But, like I say, hopefully there's some areas where they can, relocate at least or something for a while till they rebuild that stuff.
And where's the storm right now? Do you know?
I think it's petered out.
Like any of the Virgin Islands or?
No, it's way up north. It's like off of New York or Boston or somewhere up there. It's just kind of petered out. It started hauling ass once it made that turn, which I could have. I was looking at it going, "There's no way that's going to just turn around." I think I said on the last episode, "There's no way that thing's just going to turn around and go the other way." And sure enough, if it didn't, exactly like they said, I was like, "What the hell?" But yeah, once it made that turn, it started hauling ass. So, I mean,
was it a 5 when it hit Jamaica?
Yeah. And I guess it still did a bunch of damage in Cuba and Haiti too, but I think it was only like a 3 by then. So, not near as much, but.
Right. And not to be harsh, but how much in Haiti is left to be knocked down?
True. Well, I mean, once it's a 3, you only really have to worry about basically flooding and like tidal surge and stuff like that. I mean, you might lose a few trees and a few roofs, but I mean, a 5, whew, good Lord. I mean, and that thing was big. That was a big frickin' storm.
Yeah, the only thing scarier to me than 5s are tornadoes.
Well,
which
I
occur
guess
faster, are stronger. Thank God they're smaller. That's
well, they're
the only
saying
saving grace they have is that they're smaller.
They're basically saying that the eye wall of the 5 is about the same as a tornado. I mean, it's it's pretty close. It's like 180 mile an hour, 100, 200 mile an hour almost. That's about tornado speed. So, imagine just a constant tornado coming out of one direction for a couple hours. How the hell are you guys? How are you supposed to survive that? I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how people deal with the mental health of it that live in the center of the United States in Tornado Alley, where it's it can happen just so fast, so quickly.
Right. Well, you got to have a storm cellar. If you don't have a storm cellar, you're screwed.
And your town has to have one of those air sirens to let you know.
Well, I mean, unless you're just inside napping or it comes in the middle of the night or something. I mean, you can kind of tell when the weather's. I mean, I can tell around here when there's going to be a tornado. It's like, oh yeah, this is not good. There's cold weather coming cold air coming this way and warm air coming that way, and it's starting to swirl around right up there. I can see it. So you can see it coming, but unless you're not paying attention.
I've seen a lot of water spouts. I've seen tornadoes over the ocean off the coast.
Right.
Far more frequently. I mean, I don't see it here, obviously, nowhere near the coast, but when I lived down there, I did.
True. Oh, speaking of which, I thought I saw something about, you were asking about whether DeSantis was cracking down on your area of the country, and I think he is. I think they just...
Yeah, there was 3 big areas in Florida. I think Gainesville was one of them, Jacksonville was one, and I want to say Broward County was the 3rd.
Maybe. I didn't hear about Broward County. I thought it was all up by you. But yeah, apparently they're busting all kinds of people for wasting all kinds of taxpayer money. Good. Get rid of them. Anyway, I was watching Tim Pool. Dude, that he's insane. I mean, these people are on his show especially. They're so authoritarian, fascist leaning. It's just crazy. But anyway, he's like, they're ramping up for a civil war against the leftists. And I'm like, what's he talking about? What in the hell is he talking about? Who are the leftists? I mean, if you ask me, the leftists are Lindsey Graham and Trump and all the people that he adores. I mean, they're way left of Thomas Massey and, Rand Paul and people and MTG even now. I mean, even she's way like right of these people. It's like, who the hell is he talking about going to civil war with? It's crazy. Do you have any ideas who he thinks he's talking about?
No, I don't. I mean, I know leftism in this country is not what it is in Europe and other places. What we consider to be the left, they consider to be more centrist and moderate. But I mean, it's all relative to where you are.
I don't know about that anymore. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know who this civil war would be against. And as far as left and right, to me, it still always has just boiled down to city mouse versus country mouse, which is pretty much the dilemma that's been going on. I mean, we learned about this in Aesop's fables. It's not that hard of a concept to get. Right. It's a completely different mindset. If you're living in a sardine-like city crammed with lots of other people, you have to get along to get along. Whereas individualism and rugged self-determinism and that sort of thing works a lot better out in the country when you have area to produce your own food and you can actually be self-sufficient. You can't do that in a city. It's just not feasible.
Right. True. You know, it's funny.
Which is the same. Also, the reason why policing is done so differently in the two areas. If you live out in a rural area, chances are quite high that the police in your area, you know them. You probably went to school with them. If not, your parents went to school with their parents.
Which
they
is
are your
funny, 'cause
neighbors.
it should be
They're much more likely to enforce the spirit of the law as opposed to the letter of the law. Whereas in large cities, you have police that are brought in from outside of the city to
Right.
police an area that they don't know anybody, where
I
everybody
know,
looks
and it should
different
be
than them, and
exactly
they have a
opposite
quota.
that. You know, yeah. They have so many cops in the city. You should have one on every corner. He should know who lives in each house. You know, I don't understand. You know, they spend millions and billions on these cops in the city. It's like, why isn't there one on every freaking corner?
They don't need one on any corners anymore because now they all have flock cameras. And the flock cameras, which were originally sold as LPRs, which stands for license plate reader, they are far more than a license plate reader. They are capable of identifying your vehicle with no tag on it whatsoever, simply based
facial
on
recognition,
model, color, dirt, dents, traffic patterns, where it goes, how long it stays there. Every single thing that everywhere you go, it is all being monitored and it's all being fed. And now Palantir, which is associated with the flock, has also joined up with Ring cameras. And so basically every Wi-Fi operated camera now is all linked together in one giant, or will be in one giant national database. And they'll know every single where you go every single day of the year.
Yep, we are definitely living in 1984. Speaking of oligarchs, you know who my favorite oligarch is?
No, but I'd like to know.
Like the segue? Taylor Swift. She's my I mean, nobody realizes, yes, she's an oligarch. She's got billions of dollars. You know, she could easily feed a bunch of these Snap people. Did you hear about the Billie Eilish thing?
Be more specific.
Well, she apparently was at some award show, and when she accepted the award, she pledged to give like a couple of $1 million to food banks, and encouraged other billionaires to do the same thing, to basically make up for, you know, what the big daddy government isn't providing for you, which, you know, it's so hilarious. No kings, no kings. Wait, king, give me food. Give me food, my king. Give me food. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, you know, why not have these oligarchs and tech billionaires and let them chip in? You know, they're the ones making the money off the back of all these people. Let them pay for all the food. I don't understand why.
I mean, one of them clearly chipped in at one point when was it $130 billion that was donated to pay for the military?
Yeah, something like that. Yep. And I mean, when you think about it, to tell you the truth, a lot of the people on Snap and EBT and all that stuff are all ex-military. A lot of them, veterans and ex-military. But yeah, and then supposedly there's somebody volunteered to build the ballroom they're building, supposedly. But I don't even care about that. Who gives a shit about the ballroom?
You know, I'm on a Social Security limit, you know, fixed budget, limited income. And I used to have an EBT card, and it had been whittled down to such an insignificant amount of money that I honestly didn't even make any attempt the last time it expired to even fill out the paperwork and bother.
Yeah, it's more work
when
than
I
it's
hear
worth.
stories about people that have thousands and thousands of dollars on these SNAP cards and EBT cards, I don't even know how that's possible.
Well, I think it has something to do with children, how many children you have.
That may be the case. That may definitely
which,
be the case.
I don't know if I've told this story before, but back when I had Saranac, I had the house up for rent, and some real estate agent showed up with his family, urban family, you know, that would have fit in that neighborhood perfectly. And they're looking around. It's a couple with the two kids, and they're looking at the house, and they're like, yeah, man, this is really good. This is good. And as a matter of fact, it was the only people I ever showed the house to that were supposedly, I think they may have been Section 8. So, and they're looking at the place like, yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. And then, of course, there was the apartment, and he goes, how much for everything with the apartment, the garage, and everything? And I'm like, oh, well, I mean, in back those days, I was like, yeah, you know, $2,500, rent the whole place. And he looks at his chick, wife, whatever she is, and he goes, see, honey, if we only had one more kid. And I'm like, What? That's not good. That's not a good way to determine charity. But I guess the more kids you have, the more you get, or something, maybe.
I mean, on a macro scale, it does make a little bit of sense. I mean, you do need to have a population in order to have a country. If you don't have a sustainable birth rate within the country, then the only way you can go is by immigration, which is what the UK and a lot of other places have tried to do. And that comes with its own host of problems.
That's historically what we've done, truthfully, is immigration. We didn't populate this country just by multiplying. We've had people coming in the whole time.
Fair enough. I think I kind of feel like in the past that immigrants made some. Again, I'm generalizing here. There obviously are always going to be exceptions to these statements, but I feel like in the past that there was a more generalized incentive to acclimate oneself to the culture of the United States, as opposed to really. And again, there are exceptions to this. Chinatown and San Francisco.
I was going to say, I don't know. There's a little Havana. There's a little Italy.
Havana in Miami, where you can go your whole life without having to learn English, but.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Or it could just be that it takes time, in those early immigrant,
I don't know. I still like
areas eventually. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm not an expert, as we've stated many, many times.
But anyway, speaking of history, it's funny that Bill Maher admitted something on his show the other day, which I thought was very succinct. And it's like he said the quiet part out loud. Trump isn't doing anything unprecedented. He's not doing anything somebody hasn't done before. He says he's doing it to the nth degree, which is true. And that's what you get. That's what you get when you let all these other people get away with doing the stuff that Trump is doing. That's what happens when you let somebody get away with it just a little. Guess what? The next guy gets with it a little more, and then a little more, and now you get Trump. So it's like I just, watching these guys admit that, yeah, we let everybody else get away with it. Now we're getting what we deserve. It's like.
Yeah, well, it's a two-party system, and it's shocking how often a party in charge is so pleased to get something pushed through that enables their party to do whatever couldn't be done before, not realizing or not even thinking about the fact that eventually it's going to be the other side.
Dude,
now the precedent has been set. Now that ability is there. And of course, they're going to do it too.
Well, the problem is there's always somebody standing up screaming, hey, if we let them do it, or, if we do it, then they get to do it. There's always somebody saying that. And I mean, sure, it's always like one or two people. But at some point, you'd think they would start listening and like, oh, yeah, maybe we shouldn't, violate these rights because then they'll maybe we shouldn't start.
It will always be shouted down by a larger group of people who are being paid to shout it down.
Yeah, true. That's what government's all about in this country, getting paid, baby. Oh, before I forget, we got a really good comment about the animation. From somebody that commented on our last episode, said they liked the animation, so shout out to Scott. Actually, he made a big comment too, but oh yeah, something about pop filters. Do you hear us popping a lot or something?
Well, I did just now when you said popping a lot, but I hadn't typically noticed it.
But I'm wondering if you
sure I had already read that comment, so I made sure that when I bought my microphone that it does indeed have a pop filter on front of it.
Well, I was going to say, I'm wondering if he was talking about like before when you were using the phone mic, because maybe that was.
Yeah, no, he was referring to when we were both in studio.
Oh,
he had brought that up to me on a phone call once a while back, long before we started doing the Zoom thing.
We'll just have to stop talking about pop music.
Right. No more plosives.
Oh, and who was it? Don Jr. was on like the Megyn Kelly show or something like that on some live event where she grilled him. She's like, well, what do you think about this Charlie Kirk thing? He goes, well, I believe the FBI. It's just, are you kidding me, man? What the? We were just talking about this before. It was like the whole thing. Have you seen the latest now where they're saying that there was an Egyptian aircraft in the area when he was shot? Like apparently they came in and dropped off some Egyptian military guys and then was like flying around. and the military guys never got back on the plane. This is the latest
No, I
thing
haven't.
from.
I've never heard about any joint ventures between Utah and Egypt, although they both have a lot of sand in them, so maybe that's the connection.
I've heard a lot of stuff about Israel and Egypt. I'm just saying, but and then there's this other thing with there's a guy that I guess is his chief of staff that literally, as soon as Charlie gets shot, picks up his phone and turns around and walks away talking on the phone.
That I have heard about. And apparently, according to what I heard and whatever investigation was done, the person he was on the phone with was Erica Kirk, who stated that she was visiting her mother's bedside or something. I think her mother was ill or in the hospital or something. And
I thought she was
she'd
there.
Like 11:23 a.m. or that was when she got the call. It does seem very sus and odd.
Yeah, I thought she was there anyway.
Turn around and walk away from your friend and employer who just got shot, not duck, not act as if there was any more danger to be had, and just make a phone call. Yeah, that's a bit odd.
And then not only that, I don't know if you know about his dad. That particular guy's dad is a preacher, and he's on tape saying, "Yeah, he called me right away," saying, like claiming that that was who he was calling, was him, which was it? Was it him or was it you? And then the preacher guy also claims that his son was covered with blood, which obviously, no, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was not.
He wasn't anywhere near any blood, So it's like, that's one of the points that Candace keeps making is like, why is everybody lying? Why all these little lies? Why is this lie and that lie? And, you heard about them busting him on the texts, right? About the group text that Charlie Kirk was basically saying that either something about him turning away from Israel or that he turned down the $150 million or something like that. And all these people were going, oh, no, that text doesn't exist, including people that were on the text chain. And she produced it. She goes, here it is. Here's the screenshots, So I don't know. The whole thing is just, it's almost like, look, just kill the guy. We know you're going to kill him. Don't just quit pretending. Just kill him. Tell everybody nothing to see here. Move along. That's all they're going to, It's ridiculous.
It's almost as if some of these actors, these agents, seem to forget that technology exists now. They're behaving as if this was 1963 and they could just openly lie about something and there'd be no way of anybody digging up the truth. It's like, it's not like that anymore.
And then listen to this.
Instantaneous.
Did you see Kash Patel on I don't know if it was like a news show or something, but I didn't recognize the commentators truthfully, but they were asking him like, what about all these conspiracy theories? And Kash Patel's logic was like, all right, well, we're not going to release any more information. We're not going to get out in front of our skis because we don't want to, foster any of these conspiracy theories. I'm like, why don't you give us some solid evidence of something to quell the conspiracy theories, not just shut up about it? That's not going to help anything. That's going to make it look even worse. Not to mention,
or at least have been consistent and maybe stated from the very get-go, it's an active investigation and we can't comment, or something along those lines. But to keep flip-flopping back and forth,
and then and then there's no cameras allowed in the courtroom, so it's like, man, it's just so smelly, man. I mean, if you dump this case in an alley, a bunch of cats would be on it like fucking rotten fish in a heartbeat. It smells horrible. But yeah, that's craziness. What else did I got here? Oh, this is so funny. So I forget even the context of how I heard this. Maybe it was one of the boats they were blowing up or something like that off of Venezuela. But they said, yes. Oh no, it was some kind of drug bust or something. And the saying was they seized enough fentanyl to kill millions of Americans. And I was like, well, why don't you start using that as a measurement for other stuff? Hey, how much Drano you got on that truck? Oh, well, I think there's probably enough on there to kill, I don't know, 10 million Americans. I mean,
yeah.
It's not a unit of measurement. They're like, what the hell is going on? And I've been debating with.
It's not even close to a unit of measurement, considering the different size, tolerance, shapes, and health conditions of all 330 Americans. Yeah,
enough to kill millions of Americans. Well, how much is that exactly? The the whole drug wars. I mean, I got into this with somebody on Facebook yesterday about the drug war, and it's funny because the whole post was about lying, and he accused one side of lying instead of the other, and I'm like, dude, both sides lie. Don't be so naive. He's like, oh no, this one lies, and I'm like, all right, whose lie is the drug war? And that was my yeah, they all freaking lie. Both sides lie about it. And then he starts getting into the fact that, I think we should be eradicating these people bringing in these drugs. And I'm like, dude, the people want the drugs. It's like, you're not, where's the victims here? Who are the victims? Show me a victim of this crime. It's people just, I don't know. They're just so indoctrinated about drugs are bad, okay. It's just, I even used that reference on him a couple of times. It's like, dude, start thinking for yourself. And it's like, look.
Well, one reason the American government is so anti, fentanyl and up against this is because there's no more profit motive in it for them. Now that China controls the precursors for the fentanyl, there's no point in having Afghanistan's poppy fields anymore, which was
it's
kind of a backdoor way to fund so many different black projects that they're pissed that they lost that.
Well, it's the whole thing is they're trying to float this fentanyl bullshit as the reason they're fucking around with Venezuela, and we all know that's not why they're there. We all know why they're there. They want the oil. They want to get rid of Maduro, so they'll start selling their oil to us on the cheap like they used to. That's why they're there. It has nothing to do. They could give a shit about fentanyl. I mean, it's like, dude, have you? I just saw a big thing about, and it was on Facebook, so I don't know if it's actually, I think it was proposed to be on Fox News, so I don't know how legitimate or unlegitimate it is, but apparently there's been a big statewide bust of a drug ring in Florida involving ICE agents, sheriffs, all these bunches of guys that are like, I thought these are the guys that were protecting us from drugs. It's like such a fucking ridiculous, the whole thing. And it's like, look, get rid of the whole drug war.
And protecting us from the competitors' drugs so that we can buy their drugs.
Yeah, protecting us from us making the money off drugs. They're making the money. You don't want you guys making too much money. Yeah, it's insane. And then, it's like, I told him to watch that movie, that movie Made in America. You ever see that with Tom Cruise? Where he's the guy, the pilot that flies in the coke for the CIA? Yeah. I was like, go watch that movie. It's based on a true story. It's like, it's not like, the drug wars is a complete lie. We've been CIA, introduced crack into LA and California through the gangs. It's like, who's the war against? We're the ones supplying the drugs. It's crazy. I think I'm out of stuff to talk about. Oh. The one last thing. Did you see what Bill Gates is saying now?
No. Has he come up with a new and novel way to reduce the population of the Earth?
Well, he's giving up on one of them. He now says that the climate change hoax is over. The climate change is not a big deal, which is just so amazingly like, oh, okay, so are people going to believe him? And now, finally say, okay.
Is he trying to use double reverse psychology?
Well, yeah.
If he says it's not real, then maybe it is real.
Yeah. Basically, his statement is...
I said Israel.
is that he's decided that climate change will not be the end of civilization or something like that. So basically, it's not the end of the world, But yeah, the whole climate hoax thing and... look,
one of the biggest arguments against it, and and again, I'm not an expert here, but most countries keep fairly strict records of tides. Like the maritime records and all that it's pretty well documented, and there has not been a gradual or a quick increase in the height of the sea.
There may have been, but it's been so insanely gradual that, it is hard to notice. I mean, I believe Venice is indeed sinking, but I think they're actually sinking. I don't think the water's rising.
Right. I was going to say that I think there's a different cause at play there.
But I mean, here's the thing. I don't think anybody can argue that the climate has and will and may possibly be changing. The debate is like whether we have anything to do with it. And really, all those debates are completely useless unless you have some way of changing it, which we don't. We don't have I mean, we can cloud seed, maybe the Jews control the weather, maybe, but that's, even with that, there's only so much they can do.
I haven't kept meticulous records, but I have, lived over 50 years at this point, and it is absolutely, the weather is different than it was when I was young. I mean, the summers are hotter. I do not ever remember temperatures exceeding 100 degrees in Florida when I was a kid and a teenager. I don't remember it happening one time.
I do. I think I do.
I mean, high 90s, yes, but technically over 100, triple digits, I don't remember it.
I certainly remember when it snowed in Florida in 78 or 79, 78, 79, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it always changes. I mean, there's always going to be some, and the
you don't think summers are hotter now than they used to be?
What's that?
You don't think summers in Palm Beach County are hotter than they used to be?
I don't know if that they're hotter or if we're just older. I don't know. I guess maybe they could. I remember it being pretty damn hot when I was a kid. And I mean, I also remember living without AC when I was a kid, which was frickin' miserable. But, and the thing is, well, I don't know. I think you may have something with the heat actually being more, but I believe that if anything, the cause of that is the actual just removing of a lot of the vegetation. Now that most of South Florida is a big parking lot, you may be right. It may be hot.
Yeah, for sure. They add the retention of heat and then that being redissipated over the evening because leaking back out of the asphalt and the concrete. Yes, for sure.
But I don't know though. But I mean, I've always lived in the city, so it's always been, I can remember being a kid, having to learn how to walk on the, on the white paint or not or whatever in the, when you're walking around barefoot. So
right, and going from shade to shade to shade, you cross in the street. If there's like a full block of walking in the shade over there, it's worth it to cross it and then cross back even.
And literally burning my arm on the armrest in our black interior car that had been sitting out in the sun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
woe to those whose balls slide out of a pair of shorts and hit a vinyl seat in August.
Yeah, no kidding.
That might be why I've never sired any children.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but what are you going to do about it? I mean, there's really not much we can do. And they're saying, I guess, supposedly that in the last year or two that Antarctica like gained a lot of ice. Like instead of like they've been saying, oh, they're ice melting, whatever, but maybe it's only melting from one spot and going to another spot for some reason.
Right, a redistribution.
I don't know. And
I do believe that there is documented the polar ice there's less ice at the North Pole, but if you say if it's reaccumulating down there, but I think that's been leading to more polar bear sightings, them coming closer into civilization because they can't get to where they used to get because of the ice.
Possibly. But I mean, they are also saying that the pole itself is actually shifting. Like I guess it's shifting down like into Russia, like Western Russia somewhere. They say it's moving toward this spot in like, I want to say the Caspian Sea or something like that, but it's
I always think it's
so
interesting
slowly.
how important bears must have been for the whole concept of the poles, because that's literally what the names mean. Has bears, does not have bears. Arctic has bears. Antarctic, no bears. I think the Greek original word for bear is like Arcturo or something like that, but that's what it means. Here there be bears, and here there be no bears.
So they still have penguins in South Antarctica, right?
Correct. But they have
many bears.
No land mammals, no land animals that only live on the land / the ice.
I wonder if you
Everything that
took
lives
some.
there gets in the water or flies.
I wonder if you took some polar bears down there, if they'd thrive, if they'd live.
Don't know, and I wonder why nobody's ever tried to do that. I mean,
Well, it might
penguins.
upset
We
some.
know they have penguins. I'm assuming they have seals, and pretty much
seals
that's what
and
polar bears eat.
those are
so.
ocean, so they're not landlocked at all. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could be worried about it tipping some delicate ecosystem. If the polar bears
like
start
them
eating
just
all
having
the
a
penguins
penguin
or something.
buffet.
What's that? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, like the bears just having a massive penguin buffet because penguins
exactly,
have never had predators there and would having no idea what to do, never seen a bear before.
Right.
And their little brains, as soon as they're out of the water, they're safe. That's all they know. Once I'm out of the water, I'm safe.
True.
That's where everything dangerous to them is: sharks, orcas, leopard seals.
I just saw some footage yesterday or the day before of a pod of orcas and a bunch of dolphins, like all swimming, all like hauling ass in the same direction together for some reason. And I mean, there was like hundreds of dolphins, and they were like little dolphins, like the 4 foot long, 3 or 4 foot long ones. But they were like all up in this, whales were right in the middle of them, and they were all just hauling ass. I have no idea what they were doing.
Fellow on YouTube who is documenting his solo journey sailing across the Pacific Ocean. Like, he is all by himself, and this boat is not that big. And on one of his recent updates, he was being accompanied by a giant pod of pilot whales, and they're like kind of like mini orcas, I guess, bigger than dolphins, smaller than orcas. It was really cool too, and you could tell how happy he was just to see any living thing. I think the man's brain might be starting to fray a little bit on the journey.
Well, dude, I mean, the Pacific is, that's massive. I mean, you can cross the Atlantic like 5 times by the time you actually cross the Pacific.
It's an insane undertaking on the size boat that he's in by himself. I mean, clearly he's got some kind of Starlink or something because he's uploading, videos to YouTube.
You would have to. Otherwise, you get lost out there. They'll never find you. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how I know in the Atlantic, if you get in the right, like if you get in the Gulf Stream, you can launch a boat here in Florida and end up in England in no time because you're in the Gulf Stream and you're going with the current. Same thing if you come the other way, like if you sail south near the equator, you can get across pretty quick with the currents. But I'm not sure how they work in the Pacific, but I'm sure there's some way to utilize the currents to make the trip quicker. But I mean, I saw a picture of like the globe from the Pacific side. If you look at it, like maybe it was a picture from space, but literally there's a picture of the Earth where it looks like it's almost all water. I mean, you can barely see some land on the edges, but I mean, I think that's what they're saying is a picture of the whole Pacific. It's so huge.
What the Polynesians were able to do is insane. Insane is how far they got. Apparently that whole culture originated from what is now Taiwan. That was the Aboriginal area where the Polynesians first came from. And to make it all the way to Easter Island from Taiwan, and even evidence that they reached the southeast or southwestern coast of South America.
Well,
astonishing.
you also got to remember back in the, however many thousands, 100,000s, millions of years ago that they did that, there may have been a lot less like water. Like it may have been locked up in the poles. So there may have been a lot of like smaller islands that might have made it a lot easier to jump from island to island.
That is possible.
Yeah,
but I mean, compared to coast hugging, which is essentially how the Norse made it to the United States, just by hugging along the coastline and sailing along the ice, the sheets. And also now how they think that, they've almost all but shut down the idea that people from, what it would now be Russia and Siberia, that's where they walked across the Bering Strait to populate the North and South America.
Right.
It's almost assuredly, because it happened way too soon for that to have been the case.
Right.
And there was nothing to eat or hunt in that corridor when it first opened up, not for many, many, many years. So it's pretty much now that it has been accepted by archaeology that the first Americans that arrived hugged the coast, and they sailed, hugged the ice along the Bering Strait and then down the coast, and then, eventually all the way down into South America. So the coasts of North and South America were settled before the interior of either of those continents were. That's where they find the oldest evidence for humans in the Americas, is pretty much along the western coast of both continents.
Had you heard the theory that that those people that came over on that land bridge are the ones that wiped out the mammoths? Had you ever heard that theory before?
Yeah, and horses, that they hunted the horses to extinction because horses originated
Really?
from
Because I've heard some people
North
saying
America
that
and then went west
Yeah.
and then went west into the steppes.
yeah, a lot of people are saying that's completely debunked. That's a bunch of horse shit, literally. But and the thing is, I'm sure, like after the Younger Dryas event, whatever the hell that was, I'm sure there was at least a short period of time, maybe only a couple of days or weeks, or maybe I don't know how long it would take the poles to reconstitute and refreeze or whatever. But I'm sure there were a couple of days where we lived in water world, like in the biblical, like there wasn't much above water other than whatever was floating around in an ark or whatever, unless you were like on the very, very tippy top of a mountain or something maybe. But I mean, after that Younger Dryas event, if it melted the poles, there had to be, most of civilization had to have ended up underwater. And they're finding, apparently, did you hear about the place they found off of India?
Yes.
What was it called? Do you remember?
I don't remember what it's called, but there's not just one place. I think they found at least 3. And I was waiting for a pause in the conversation to say that, yes, that's where they're always going to find ancient, humans have and still do always live on the coast.
Yep, absolutely.
Or at least as close to it as possible. And before any kind of industrial revolution, the most efficient way to move anything, and still for large things, still is water.
Yep.
So that means, inlets, rivers, and coastlines. So when the sea level changes, of course, civilizations disappear, or at least the edges of them do, and then they rebuild along the new coastline. So there's a lot of underwater archaeology that hasn't yet been done because clearly compared to doing it on land, it's extremely it's expensive.
Yeah.
But as technology gets better and they can pinpoint areas using satellite imagery and aerial photography and sonar and that sort of shit, they should be finding more and more of these things. And so it doesn't surprise me every time they do.
Right. And supposedly that city off of India, or at least one of them, was some mythical city that nobody believed actually existed because it was so, I guess the tales were so fantastic about it. I mean, supposedly this city had flying craft. So it's like, oh yeah, this is just a big myth. And then now it's like, oh, wait a minute. There was a city known as yada yada, whatever it was. And, that brings me to, you've seen the thing about, I don't know if I don't think they're pyramids, but there's some kind of like big block formation off the coast of Japan that's like, they're really kind of torn about debating whether it's man-made or not.
I can't. Yes, I have seen, and I've seen videos even of divers and pictures of it, and it really, and again, to an untrained eye, it looks there's a lot of right angles.
Yeah, it looks pretty compelling.
It looks compelling, but then again, the people that explain it away, the geologists and whatnot, their arguments sound compelling too.
Well, what's the geologist say? How do they explain it? Do you know? Do you remember?
I don't remember well enough to try to explain it here, but just because something is rare doesn't mean it can't happen, and that
Sure.
the pressures and whatnot aligned to actually make this be, and also things like it's not as, the right angles are not as perfect as you think you are because you're viewing it through water. And so again, I mean, there was the Bimini Road that was, I think, has been debunked as being, at one point in time, and this is what seemingly looks like a paved road underwater near in the Bahamas off of Bimini. And it's, at one point in time, people were arguing that it was a road that led directly to Atlantis.
Right. Well, that's what that mystic guy said. What was his name? Casey something?
Yeah. What the hell was that guy's name?
Something.
Edgar Casey.
Edgar Casey. That was it.
Yeah. Edgar Casey. Yeah.
That's an interesting story. That guy would have been an interesting guy to talk to and try to figure out if he's full of shit or if he's actually, I don't know.
Yeah, are we ever going to have Mike come on, or has he just decided nah?
Well, I don't know. He hasn't decided. I don't know. Hopefully soon. He's actually the guy I was jawing with about the whole drug war thing yesterday. And it's funny
Yeah, I'm
because
trying to get Scott lined up to be a guest one day this month, and he's checking his schedule. But
Scott,
I sent him a
that
copy
Scott?
of all the dates available.
That's Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our Scott. Yeah.
There's so many Scotts. There's almost as many Scotts as Mikes.
And the guest we're trying to get, his buddy is a guy named John, who I reached out to and sent him a message, but I haven't heard back from him yet.
And neither one of us have been able to look at any of those links he even sent us, have we?
No, I looked at the links of his Instagram page. Yeah, he's a really good artist. There's all kinds of crazy drawings and stuff on there.
Oh, okay.
You'd like it.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I can't.
And apparently he owns an owl farm, which is, I can't wait to talk to him about that, because that's kind of fascinating. Like, is it for rehabilitating owls? Do you sell owls? Who buys owls? Do you sell them to zoos? Do people come and take pictures of the owls? Like, there's a solid chance he may have met my dad. My dad used to drive and fly anywhere he could to take pictures of birds, especially birds of prey. And he'd go to aviaries, and I know he went to private places to take pictures of hawks and stuff. So there's a chance he might have met the guy.
But when the hell is owl planting season?
Well, that's a good question too. And the breeding season, is it
when do you
just
plant
lay
the
eggs all
owls?
year, or do you have to keep? Yeah, there's a million questions I want to ask this guy.
Right.
Do different
Owl
species
farm.
of owls get along? How terrified are the fucking squirrels in your county?
Owls are like the weirdest birds too. Other than I think the only bird weirder than owls are parrots. Oh, have you heard about the smart parrot?
Which one?
Well, apparently, I guess of the parrot species, I guess there's a parrot called the gray parrot, maybe, and apparently they're the
African
smartest.
gray. They're the smartest.
Yeah, and apparently one of these parrots formed and asked a question. Asked his, he was getting old apparently, and asked his parent, owner, what happens, or something literally what happens next, or something like that. And then, what? Nobody taught him that, that wasn't anything he was repeating. He had formed a sentence and asked a question or something like that. And I'm like,
And they're highly intelligent, and they live a long time. I think those birds can live 60, 70 years.
well, some of them, I guess the macaw parrots can live 140, 120, 140
crazy.
years. Yeah. Yeah, they live a long time. Some of them.
You have having a pet that you have to leave in your will and eventually becomes your grandchild's.
Yeah. And I mean, to think about it, though, some of those, I've seen footage of crows, or what are the big crows called? Ravens.
Ravens.
Yeah, aren't those things are incredibly smart too, aren't they? Can't they solve
the
puzzles?
species? They're ravens, crows, and magpies. They're all members of the corvid family, and they're highly intelligent. Those and the parrots are considered the two most intelligent. And it's funny too, is their level of intelligence is so high that it kind of baffles and throws a wrench in the gears, as far as when we think of intelligence, we typically try to compare brain size to body size. And apparently wiring must have a great deal to do with it, because these birds do not have big brains compared to their body size, but they're capable of performing tasks and solving puzzles that are typically done by 3 to 5 year old humans, little kids putting the blocks in the right size holes and things like that, and abstract thinking and using tools to use another tool, creating their own tools, pruning sticks to pull, grubs out of tree hollows and stuff. Pretty intelligent.
Yeah. And I mean, the brain and how any brain works, truthfully, is literally the last frontier of medical understanding. It's like the bottom of the ocean. It's not really, we don't fully have a grasp on exactly how it works yet. We got a good idea, but not because somewhere in there is a switch that, because faith healing. How does that work? It works. People go in with cancer.
Sometimes.
Guy tells them you don't have cancer anymore. They walk out without cancer. So something in your body, well, I mean, they don't walk out without cancer, but they may cure themselves or whatever. But there's something in your body, some kind of switch that you can flip, that will make your body cure itself of just about everything. If we can find that switch, that may be, well, this is not the secret to immortality because you're never going to live forever, but, of longevity, of living
And
a lot longer.
they've been doing these kind of tests for a long time. I mean, the whole concept of biofeedback, where they try to use meditation to affect heart rate, breathing, the sugar levels in your blood, and all manner of different physical manifestations that they try to test for and see if they can affect them with their mental state. There's a solid argument that that's what Buddhist monks have been doing, or even sometimes ecclesiastical monks or whatnot, when they achieve a state of nirvana or a feeling of oneness with everything. That may or may not be linked to DMT production in the brain, where people can actually experience hallucinations and holy revelations and whatnot simply by the neurons firing inside their brain.
That was
almost like dreaming, but being awake. So
that's what the whole last Joe Rogan I just watched came out yesterday was about. He had some guy on that was his specialty, was working on, people with like that take DMT and psychotropic stuff and studies all that shit and how well it does for, help people with PTSD and all that kind of thing. But they talked about, a lot about it for about 2 hours, 3 hours. It was pretty cool.
I will have to check it out. I only ever attempted DMT one time. I only had one opportunity in which to try it. And I was assured by the person there, because I didn't do it all by myself, I had a guide to help me through the experience, that I had ingested more than enough to see whatever I'm supposed to see. And I did not experience the experience that everybody talks about. I didn't see, I saw some colors and stuff. I didn't see any machine elves. I didn't experience any feelings of understanding or anything. The experience was very disappointing to me. And so I'd like to try it again under different circumstances and maybe more, or maybe better.
My cousin Mike
quality.
wants to try it.
I don't know if that something wrong with me, or if there was something wrong with it, or if something in the procedure, but I am fascinated by it.
Well, Mike claims there are people that can get into this different realm of wherever DMT takes you and are mapping it. Like mapping it out like a city or something like that. And I'm like, come on, man, really? I don't know. But he wants to try it sometime. I wonder if they'd let us come in here and do it. I kind of doubt it. We'll have to.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. Well, we wasted about an hour. You got anything else?
No, actually, we did pretty good there. I think because we kind of ran out of stuff about 20 minutes ago, but there you have it.
Yeah, we never run out of stuff to talk about.
An ability to babble.
Yeah. I mean, we've always had that. I mean, that's I think why we've always been friends. I've always been able to call up the phone, pick up the phone and call you up, and what I think would be a 30-second conversation turns into like 10 minutes of talking shit. That's why we're so good at this. All right. So like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. 904-549-9024 is the hotline to call that nobody's been calling, huh?
No, nobody's been calling.
Now, if they call that, does your phone ring?
No, my phone doesn't ring, but I get an alert that a message has been left.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We should point that out to people. If you call, I'm not going to answer and talk to you, but I do want you to call and leave us a message.
Well, I mean, is that possibly having the same problem as your other voicemail issues? Because when I call your regular phone, your voicemail ain't right.
No, it's not that. It's a completely separate.
Oh, it's a separate voicemail? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. I was going to say, because I call you all the time, and it's like, what? No beep? No mess? What? Am I recording? What's going on here?
Or, just to make sure when we get done today, call the hotline.
That's true. I should.
I'm
going to give it a call.
You can call it.
Well, I'm on the motorcycle today, so it's nice out. It must have been cold as shit up by you.
It was 47 degrees this morning when I got up.
Yeah.
It was brisk.
Yeah, that's why I got away with wearing the hoodie today, because at least it was nice and cool.
I had the windows open last night because all piled with blankets, which is perfect. Cold on the outside, warm on the inside. And then at about 4 o'clock this morning, I had to get up and shut the window, not because it was cold, because some stupid fucking mockingbird decided that this was the moment and just started, singing and screaming. I'm like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. What do you want? There's no sun.
If a mockingbird don't sing. No, that's the wrong song. All right. Well, good luck with your mockingbirds. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.